Introducing Traditional Honeycomb. In this video, we're going to share with you our newest patina to add to the traditional line. This will leave a golden brown color on most metals. So you'll notice that the bottom is actually puffed out on the bottom, but please note that when you do open this patina for the first time, it does release a little bit of pressure. So you'll see how I just poke a little hole and let it degas, and then I peel the rest of it away. So that will be on the 8 ounce, 32 ounce, and gallon containers, so just be careful with that. The other thing I'd like to point out is that it does smell. It kind of smells like a overchlorinated pool, so just be wary of that and make sure you have plenty of ventilation. But we're going to clean the metal like we normally do. We're going to sand it down. I sanded this with 180 grit, and then I'm going to hit it with our Sculpt Nouveau metal cleaner. And this is a piece of steel we're cleaning right now, but we're going to do this with all the metals. And the only thing I might do a little more different is it is a little bit more transparent, so sometimes I'll just go back in with that second coat of metal cleaner and just let it sit in there. But you can notice that this bright kind of pink burgundy color, it's a very different look from most of our patinas. So be careful, it will stain your clothes. But what we like to recommend is just take a brush and kind of work it around. And once again, it looks different and it reacts differently as well. You don't really want to burnish this one in. You don't really need to. All you need is a cheap little, chip brush from Harbor Freight or Home Depot, wherever you're getting your cheap brushes from. But just work it around and make sure you have enough material on the surface to where you can move it around and it will fill back in once it leaves. Overall, you just want to work around with the brush for about 3 to 5 minutes, that normal window for the traditional patinas, not letting it dry on the surface and just rinsing it with water when it's all done. The water neutralizes the acid, and then you're left with a nice golden tone. And just like all the other traditional patinas, if you're not very happy with how the first one came out, if it's too light or not as even, you can always do a second coat. So that's what we're going to do here. You could see that had kind of a golden hue, but the color just wasn't as saturated as I wanted it. So we went ahead and did a second coat. And coming in with the brush again, and once again, I don't have to worry about this cheap chip brush being, leaving any scratch marks or anything. It's going to be nice and soft. So I do this for about another 3 minutes and then I'll rinse it with some more water. Now that we have it all done and dry, we're going to seal it up with some ClearGuard satin. And do remember that you want to do 2 coats of clear coat to make sure that you get that nice, good, solid protection. And here is our steel piece, a nice kind of golden brown tone. But next we're going to do stainless steel. And remember, stainless steel is that one where you need to go in with 80 grit first. And you can go a little rougher, but I like 80 grit. It seems to do the job just fine. You can always go back with 180, but I left this just straight with 80 grit and went right into the honeycomb. And it's kind of trippy that it actually does work on stainless, but this kind of golden brown will go into steel, stainless steel, aluminum, and zinc. And then on the bronze, brass, and copper, we get a little bit more of that richer brown. And here's our stainless piece after just 1 coat. Remember, we can do multiple, but now we're going to do aluminum. And yes, it does work on aluminum. It takes just about the same amount of time. You just got to work it in. And at some point, if you don't get quite the reaction you're looking for, if it's, the color just isn't as bright, it could be a cleaning technique, so take a look at that. But usually it just means we need to do another coat. But here we have the aluminum piece. You see that's a kind of a nice golden, almost like a brassy feel, but that sanding pattern did come through. So it is something to think about when you're doing surface prep. Could have used just a little metal cleaner wash on there and just let it sit, because that can help diffuse that pattern as well. But on zinc or galvanized, in the patina world, that's about the same term, although that has vastly different in metalworking terms. But it does work. It reacts with the zinc, and you can see it's very similar to the aluminum piece. Now on bronze, brass, and copper, there's not much difference as usual. So I just did it on copper for this video. And so it's pretty much standard. We sand it up, we clean it up with the metal cleaner, we always do, and then we work it around with a brush. Now I gave the copper just a little bit longer than I did for like the steel, aluminum, zinc, and stainless. It just seemed to be able to work around, didn't want to dry as fast on me. So I probably went closer to that 4-minute mark, but still keep them within that 3 to 5. And here's what I got. That's just kind of a nice starting to age look. And Honeycomb is now available at www.sculptnouveau.com under traditional brown patinas or by calling us at 760-432-8242.